Aloha, what's up everyone, and welcome to part 4, where I'm going to be decoding prophecies and predictions that the Bible has made about the end times. And we ask ourselves, do we find ourselves in those situations? Do we see the world around us? Can we read the signs and the omens? Is the end coming? I mean, that's really what we're asking. Are we close? And if so, how close are we to the apocalypse itself? Now, I write books about the apocalypse. I teach people about the apocalypse. I've studied the apocalypse for over 2 decades. It's very interesting to me. I actually was more interested. I didn't even think to study the apocalypse itself. I was more interested in creation, and I was initially interested in creation stories and creation epics and myths in religions and oral traditions and stuff like that across the world. And of course, that naturally brought me to cosmological views and mythic beings like giants existing. And God, man, my whole world spiraled out of control, or spiraled back into control, as I became more and more focused and really honed in on what it was all about. So the beginning brought me to the end, when I realized they're the same thing, and they keep happening over and over again. It's good to see everybody in the chat. I did put a little poll into the chat. You guys can vote on which movie you'd like to see me decode tomorrow night. I typically do a movie decode on Sunday nights. We got movie night here on my channel. It's called Truth in the Movies. And there's 4 options for you in the chat. I don't know how to see it on my phone. Hopefully you guys can find it. I don't know how to participate. I just know how to start the poll. But I think it's The Shawshank Redemption, Ghostbusters 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Armageddon. Those are your 4 choices. So you guys get to choose. And whatever it is at the end of this presentation, that's what I'm going to be decoding tomorrow. Now, I have a fun thing. I just got back from Comic-Con here in Colorado Springs. I've never been to a Comic-Con. never been to one. And it was fun. It was interesting. It's very hot. But I have an unboxing of sorts, something I bought that I want to open up and show you guys. I saw this, and man, I couldn't pass it up. You know, I don't have a lot of money, but you know, I'm like, dude, this was only, I think, $25. So I'm like, I gotta have it, you know? So it comes in wrapped in this little piece of leather. Can you guys guess what it is? Let me see if you guys can guess what it is. Let's see if you can guess before I open it. Here it is. See if you can guess what that might be. Anybody? Oh, the Comic-Con was a lot of fun. We'll get into the presentation here in a minute. This is going to be the last one in this series where I'm talking about prophecies and predictions, okay? And if you guys tuned in for my rap that I did last time, thank you so much for the compliments. I really appreciate it. Made me feel good. All right. Oh, look at that. Everybody's saying it's a map. You guys are right. It is a map. Look at you. All right. Okay. Well, okay. It kind of looks like it might be a map, right? Let's see which map it is, though. Let's see which map it is. Hold on. I'm gonna unroll it for you guys to see here. You ready? Check this out. Voila. Look at that. You recognize that? You guys see that? I don't know if it's upside down. No, it's not. It's perfect, actually. You see that? And it feels very map-like too. It's very cool. Anyways, I love this. It's a replica from one of my favorite movies. I've talked about how you can actually fold it together. I don't know if you guys remember, but I told you can fold this together like a Mad magazine, and it makes this in the middle. So it's so cool. I love this. I love I love movie memorabilia stuff. I'm a big nerd. So, you know, obviously that's why I went to Comic-Con. And I get to do stuff like that because of people like you. You guys' support, you know, helps me to go do fun things and live life. So thank you. So thank you. Did you guys figure out what the map is from? It's from the Goonies, in case you guys haven't figured that out. All right. And I got some pictures I thought I'd share with you too, real quick, before we start, from my little visit over there at Comic-Con. There's me right now. Boom. Here's me and Naruto. My son, I had to take a picture. It's really for my son because he loves this guy. This character actually looks like my son, which is why I wanted to get a picture with him. There's me, my serious look. Here's me with the DeLorean from Back to the Future. C-3PO did a little photo bomb on me. But here's me with the DeLorean. And I got another picture here too. There it is. So there's me with I don't know. But me and the DeLorean. I thought that was really cool. I had to get a couple pictures. There's my tough guy. I don't know why I was doing a tough guy pose. But yeah, me and the DeLorean. I thought that was a lot of fun. I'd never been to a Comic-Con. It was my first time. It was hot, but it was fun. And I was able to give out some business cards and buy a couple of souvenirs and stuff. It was a good time. So thank you. Thank you guys for making that possible. I appreciate it. Let's go ahead and jump into today's presentation, where we're going to finish off these books of prophecies and predictions from the Bible itself. Are you guys enjoying this series? Do you like this type of thing? Me doing a series like this? I'm just wondering what you guys think, since you're my viewers, because I genuinely am interested to hear what you guys think about these types of things. All right. So we have gone over the book of Isaiah, or Isaiah chapter 24, Ezekiel 38, Daniel chapter 7 and 12, Joel chapter 2, Zephaniah chapter 1, Zechariah chapter 14. We ended with Matthew 24, which had a lot of substance in there. Okay. And we're in the New Testament. We're going to go over to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Remember, as a reminder, this doesn't just apply to the Bible. You can find this, and I have found this, across religions. Okay, even the esoteric side of all religions, and the major religions all have their own esoteric side. Okay, especially Judaism, Christianity has its own esoteric side. That's the redheaded stepchild, I guess you could say, that nobody wants to talk about. As well as Islam, they all have their secret esoteric side. My hair's getting real long. You can see it poking out of the back there. Anyways, yes, good stuff. Let's go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. All right, so boom. Everything's good in the chat? Oh, good. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the series. All right, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. There's only 3 chapters in the book of Thessalonians. I'm going to be reading from the New King James Version. Somebody had asked me which version they should get, by the way. If you're a beginner, I would recommend probably the New International Version, because it's probably one of the easier versions to read. Okay. If you're more experienced and you can tolerate, Shakespearean type language, then I would go with the New King James or the King James Version. The New King James is probably the one I like the best, which is the one I'm reading from right now. But ultimately, the very best version, as far as the most accurate, would be something that's transliterated back into Paleo-Hebrew, but you would have to be able to read Paleo-Hebrew. So those are my recommendations, just off the top. Let's begin with the great apostasy. What does apostasy mean? What is the meaning of apostasy? It's a falling away from something. It's a leaving, okay? And it usually is a leaving away from, like, the church, or somebody who is deciding not to be a part of something that is good any longer. So there's this great apostasy. The writer says, "Now, brethren, concerning the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and our gathering together to him," this is about the a gathering together. Okay, so let's talk about that. We got different concepts that we're going to discuss, like the rapture, the exodus. There's a greater exodus. Okay, there is an entrance, which is the greater exodus, and then there is a regular exodus where people leave Hyperborea and they go out into the 4 corners of the earth, and they scatter themselves to the 4 winds, which is where you find yourself now. But there is a greater exodus where we will all return to Hyperborea, many of us. Okay, not everybody, but those who I call the lost tribe of the tree of life, you will return to Hyperborea. You will return to your homeland. You will return to paradise. So there will be a gathering together to him. Okay. Now, I'm of the mind, just let me remind everybody that this place right here, this is the Mercator map of the Arctic. There are many maps that look just like this and feature this exact same circular land. There's a storm happening outside right now, so if we lose connection, lightning hit my house, just so you know. Hopefully I can time travel or something. But anyways, I'm going to be referencing this land right here because I believe this is the Garden of Eden. I believe this is the location of the Fountain of Youth. I believe there are many gardens that are like this one in the world, smaller versions. I believe that there are many fountains of youth that are like this in the world, but nothing on a scale like this. Okay. Have you ever seen that movie? What was that movie? I just watched it like last night. There's a movie about a girl and a team of women that go into this giant bubble. There's this weird bubble that goes around this garden-like place, and everyone that goes in, nobody comes out. Anyways, that's all about this place too. What was that movie called? Anybody know? I forgot the name of that movie. It's like obliteration or something like that. Some kind of word that means annihilation? Yeah, I think it's annihilation. Anyways, I'm going to be referencing this land a lot. I believe this is the home of Jesus. I believe this is ancient Israel. I believe this is many Old Testament biblical places that had been superimposed onto new places as these people left Hyperborea, left the Garden of Eden, and became nomadic out here in what I call the Southlands, which is where we now find ourselves. And they renamed those lands. They renamed those rivers in honor of these places up here. And now, because people have forgotten their true history, they believe that the renamed places are the original places or the original lakes or whatever it may be. All right, so gathering together to him, we ask you not to be soon shaken in mind. Don't be soon shaken in mind or troubled, either by spirit or by word or by letter, as if from us, as though the day of Christ had already come. Let's talk about this. Let's break this down into plain English. Don't be troubled or worried when you hear people saying that the day of Christ has already come. There were people at this time saying Jesus has already come. And some people will point out verses like this whenever they hear people today talking about Satan's little season and Jesus having already had come, or the rapture already happening, or whatever. And I agree with that. But I think most people are missing the fact that this is a cyclical event, that Jesus will continue to keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back, because this is a cyclical event, this apocalypse that happens. Okay, this gathering together, and then the greater exodus, etc. We go back and forth as we swing on that pendulum from one side to another. So even back then, people were saying, Jesus already came back. Okay, the apocalypse has already happened. But that's the problem with people today, with many people, as I find my experience when I'm watching people talk about these things. They talk about them as if they're absolute. Like, this can only happen one time and one time only. It's a one-time only sale or something. And they don't just happen one time and one time only. They keep happening over and over. The problem is you keep forgetting that they have already happened. You're looking forward to something as if it's the only time it's ever going to happen, but it's the time it's going to happen within your lifetime or this age that you live in right now. But it has happened before, and it will happen again. All right, let's continue on. So he says, don't be worried when people tell you Jesus has already come. Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away comes first. This is huge. This is one of the omens of the apocalypse. The apocalypse will not come unless this particular omen, this harbinger, this sign comes. Unless we see these events happening in the world, we must see a falling away. What does it mean by that? It means good people, or the goodness that exists in the world, dissipates. It means that we see an increase in corruption, and especially an increase in corruption within ecclesiastical systems or church systems or religious systems. And when we see that corruption happening all over the place, it must happen. This is a sign that must happen before Jesus comes back or the apocalypse happens, etc. However you would like to call that, whatever flavor you like, okay? This must happen. There must be a falling away. Now be careful, because evil people think that they are good. They don't consider themselves evil. They think good people are evil. So they think there must be a falling away of evil or whatever. You know what I mean? Like this can be twisted either way, as with all things, okay? So you need to be wise and be careful and recognize things by their fruits. What do they produce? Do they produce something that contributes to life, contributes to the life of other people, or do they just take? Do they just take and take and take? All right, so there must be a falling away, okay? And this is not talking about, in my personal opinion, and according to my research, this is not talking about losing congregants to your church at all. This is about losing good people in the world. The world altogether becomes a corrupt place. People become selfish and greedy and perverted and based and messed up, okay? Sickly. They fall away from all the good things that they knew to do in their hearts to begin with. And the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he sits as God in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Oh boy. Oh boy. Let's talk about the Antichrist, shall we? Now, I would like to preface what I'm about to say by acknowledging that I do believe human events, okay, our petty little human lives and our drama and our politics and stuff can manifest in ways that replicate what's happening naturally on a larger scale, okay? I believe we live in a fractal verse, which is fractal and holographic in a repeating pattern everywhere. So whatever happens on a large, grand scale naturally will be reflected in our little dramatic scales in our human lives at the microscopic scale compared to nature, which is much larger, okay? So can there be one person that people will look up to and say that human is the Antichrist? Yes, that's a possibility, that it will that some human out there could simulate what is happening naturally. I'm going to speak on what is natural just for now, okay? The man of sin. Let's look that up. It's got a little B right there, so let me click on that. Oh, what verse was that? Hold up. Oopsie. Man of sin. Where is it? All right, what verse are we on? We're on verse 3. All right, boom. So it says man of sin. It's got a little note. Verse 3. Lawlessness. Okay, cool. So it's the man of lawlessness. So not obeying the law, sinful, etc. Let's get back to where we were here. All right, so the man of sin is revealed. That day will not come unless the man of sin is revealed. The son of perdition. Let's stop right there. The sun, interesting. The sun, a light source. Okay, you can spell it however you want, but in ancient languages, the vowel sounds do not really matter. Okay, vowels were implemented initially, and I'm not talking about consonants that sound like vowels. Initially, they had what we would consider to be vowels. Okay, but they weren't. They were consonants. Okay, they were hard, breathy sounds or whatever. Vowels didn't exist. Vowels were created specifically, if we're talking biblically, around the time of the Babylonian exile, because the Jewish people, I'm just going to refer to them in general, okay? The Jewish people basically were in Babylon and they didn't want to lose their dialect, okay? I could be wrong on this, but, you know, if memory serves me correctly, this is correct information. They didn't want to lose their language, okay? So they introduced vowel points, which are vowels, okay? And this has happened from culture to culture. People did not want to lose their language, which will happen. It's happening right now. If you're paying attention in the United States, there's people from two generations ago could not understand somebody who's 13, 14 years old today because they speak another language. They have this alpha generation weird way of talking, you know, dub it up, and I don't know. I don't speak like how they do. Like, I learned some from my son, but I'm telling you, like, you put no restrictions on language, you don't force people to speak properly, and they won't. And it will change, and it will turn through dialect and accents over time into a completely different language. Okay. So anyways, the sun. Okay. So I believe the Antichrist is literally the sun that goes around our head. I believe that that is a false light that's going to emulate the blue beam that shoots up from the earth in its own blue daylight that shoots down. As it gets hotter and hotter, it starts to change color into the blue spectrum. But let's continue and read. The man of sin is revealed. So whatever it is must be revealed. Okay, right now, if this is talking about the actual sun, I don't believe that it has been revealed yet. Okay, I believe that it will be revealed when it turns blue and people will see it for what it is because it's literally killing people. The son of perdition. What does perdition mean? Let's look that up. Perdition is a noun that means eternal damnation, hell, or complete spiritual ruin. It comes from the Latin word perder, meaning to destroy or to lose. So the son of destruction, you could say. The son that destroys. This is exactly how the Antichrist is discussed in the book of Daniel, as we talked about. Who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God. So here's my theory. I believe, according to my research, that the sun is going to spiral inwards towards the North Pole and transgress the northern tropics, that it will stop and rest and sit above, as it says here, this place right here. It's going to stop right above this, way high up in the sky, and this whole area will be surrounded in that intense heat that will kill anybody that's in the area. Okay? So, who opposes and exalts, that means lifting itself up. Now, the sun moves up and down, okay? Within my own cosmological view, you guys are free to have yours. But in my cosmological view, I share the similar view of the ancients who believed that we had like a snow globe looking world and that the sun and the moon were underneath the dome above us. That sun doesn't just go around in a circle, but it goes up and down as it goes around, okay, over time. So it will exalt itself. It gets higher and higher up as daylight gets more and more focused above all that is called God. Well, all that is called God exists right here physically. This is the Garden of Eden where God lives and dwells, according to the Bible. At least that's how I see it. Anyways, let's continue on. So that he sits, the Antichrist, sits as God in the temple of God, showing that he is God. So the sun, the blue sun, people will worship. People are already sun worshipers. What do you think the sun worshipers are going to do when the sun starts proving its might and its power by going around destroying things and turning blue and then resting at the north, you know, as the new North Star or whatever, right above the North Pole? How do you think the sun worshipers are going to react to that? All right. Do you not remember that when I was still with you, I told you these things? And now you know what is restraining, that he may be revealed in his own time. All right, so something is restraining us. This is talking about the Antichrist. Now, you're all being restrained by many factors. There's many things that are restraining you. Everybody is sickly. Everybody is dying. Everybody is dying at young ages. We're children dying off. You're being restrained from higher learning. You're being restrained from ancient knowledge. You're being restrained by your loops and your patterns of life where you just walk around, you repeat the same cycle every single day, living for really the sake of living for nothing sometimes. But some people have accepted that. Some people have settled for that, and that's okay. You're allowed to. I personally don't. Now you know what is restraining, that he may be revealed in his own time. So whoever or whatever this is talking about is something that will be revealed to everybody. There will come a day when people around the world will go, whoa, what is that? That's different. For the mystery of lawlessness, doing what is wrong, is already at work. So this was happening during their time when this was written, and it is happening now. I'll declare that. I look around and I'm witness to the fact that I see lawlessness everywhere. And I don't mean breaking the common laws. I don't mean breaking the legal system's laws. I mean breaking the law of your heart. Your heart tells you what is right and wrong. You already know not to kill or not to murder, not to steal, etc. Right? There are laws that are obvious. That's common sense. But some people, they're not, believe it or not. That's why they need those laws. The laws are for evil people. Good people do not need the law. Good people do not need the 10 commandments. They already have them. They are a walking 10 commandments of themselves. Okay? They're for evil people because evil people are just evil. They don't realize that good is an option. The mystery of lawlessness is already at work. Only he who now restrains. This reminds me of like Harry Potter and Voldemort. He who shall not be named. He who now restrains will do so until he is taken out of the way. So people always, they want to, humans, as we do, like to take credit for everything, okay? So they like to project these verses and say, it must be a human. It must be talking about a human being. So someone's going to be born and it's going to be the Antichrist and it's going to be the president and it's going to be the queen and it's going to be whoever. I think there's another option out there. I think there's another possibility out there. But whatever it is, and if it is the Son, it will be taken out of the way. And it will restrain you until it's taken out of the way. And then the lawless one will be revealed, whom the Lord will consume with the breath of his mouth and destroy with the brightness of his coming. Okay, well, this gives us more context as to who we're talking about. Okay, there's going to be a fight between the Lord. Okay, remember that YHWH, the tetragrammaton? This is similar. It's not the exact same word because it's not all capital letters, but we're talking about the same entity. The Lord will consume as an eater with the breath of his mouth. Consuming with the breath and opening, eating it. The Son will appear to have been eaten with the breath of his mouth and will be destroyed with what? The brightness of his coming. Well, I believe it's referring to this exact location right here. This mountain, this holy mountain at the middle of the world, has an inner earth breath or wind that will rise up out of it as the inner earth depressurizes. That wind will ionize. It will become plasma, electricity, essentially, that will shoot up as a blue beam of energy as the inner earth gases will ionize in a blue spectrum. And it will be this blue Christ color that seems to be fighting that blue Death Star or daylight that is shooting down from above. And you'll have a clash of these two titans. All right. And this will literally be the opening of the Lord. All right. This is the place of Vishnu. This is the cave of saviors, etc. And there will be the sword that rises up to kill the dragon above. Okay. As the two ages meet one another. So it will be destroyed by breath. That's wind. It will be destroyed by brightness. That's light. The two combined are the ingredients that we have for an opening in the earth, the inner earth depressurizing, the wind rushing up through these caves and cracks and crevices and volcanoes of the earth, ionizing, becoming plasmas, turning into light. And now the light comes out of the mouth. Or, biblically speaking, especially if you read in the book of Revelation, a sword comes out of the mouth. This is the mouth. This is the opening. Okay? And a sword of light it's not really a sword, but it's like a lightsaber, a light sword, okay, comes out of this. The coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan with all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all unrighteous deception among those who perish, because they did not receive the love of the truth. They might be saved. They will perish. Okay? The Bible used to say, I guess this is a Mandela effect. I just heard this over at C3PO's Golden Calves channel. I guess it's a Mandela effect. It used to say, and I know it for a fact because it's one of the verses I had memorized, my people perish for a lack of wisdom. Now I guess it says my people are destroyed for a lack of wisdom. I don't know. I haven't checked that, but that's what I heard. Let's break that one down. Okay, that's a lot of old school talk. The coming of the lawless one, we've established who that could possibly be, is according to the working of Satan. So Satan meaning adversary in the sense, okay? Something that is adverse. Adverse to what? To anything that is good. If we're speaking energetically, we're talking about bad versus good. Okay, this is the age-old battle. So if it's the sun is going to come according to the working of Satan. Well, what is Satan here to do? To steal, to kill, and to destroy, according to John 10:10. To steal, to kill, and to destroy. So we should see the sun, if this is correct that it's talking about the sun, stealing from people, killing people, and destroying things. With all power, signs, and lying wonders. So the Bible also talks about the powers of the prince of darkness. It talks about the powers of the air or the prince of the air. So power is seen in the heavens and in the atmosphere above us. Signs as well. You're going to see signs in the sun. It's happened before. One of the best examples, one of my favorite examples personally, is the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicles is a rare historic record of events that had happened during the Dark Ages. And it's full of signs and wonders in the sun and the moon. It literally tells you that people saw pillars and beams of light shooting up into the sky and fiery, basically it's describing plasma filaments and stuff. But these things will be seen again. People will see signs in the sun. In antiquity, people saw a cross in the sun. You know why? Because the thing that causes the sun is the apex dome above, which reflects that land right there. So people are seeing this shape in the sun. People that have seen a cross in the moon, this cross. This is where the ancient Christian versions of the cross come from. Celtic crosses and stuff like that. People see this same shape, that shape right there. The circle with the bullseye and the X and all that stuff. They see that in the sun. They see that in the moon from time to time. Sometimes I see it in the sky, depending on certain conditions. And lying wonders, deceptive wonders, with all unrighteous deception among those who perish, because they did not receive a love of the truth. The truth shall set you free. People that receive the truth are better equipped to be survivors. Believe it or not. Okay? Just being a good person. Like we talked about the Valkyries, when those plasmas come down to the earth, they're going to carry a particular charge. They're going to chase after people who have an opposing charge. Just like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. I don't know if you guys remember that movie or cartoon. You have these big red blobs, and it's also the blob too, but you have these big red balls of plasma. They're literally ball lightning. And they will roll after people, chasing people, because they're attracted to particular energies, opposing energies. Opposites attract when it comes to electromagnetics, right? So gigantic balls of light will be flying after people, just like Slimer or ghosts or whatever. And when they catch up to you, they can do some damage, But if you love the truth, if you re-educate yourself according to the old ways, which is what we've been instructed to do by my Native American brothers here in America, the United States, and many other places around the world, return to the old ways, love the truth, learn the truth, relearn and repiece together the ancient past, and start studying. Start being open-minded. At the very least, start carrying a better energetic signature so that the Valkyries from Asgard don't chase you down, and those killer tomato plasma balls or whatever don't come after you, or ghosts attack you, or demons, or however you want to say it. They did not receive a love of the truth that they might be saved. Saved from what? Right? Saved from the apocalypse that it's talking about, the day of the Lord, the day Jesus comes back, etc., the day the light of the world returns, the age of light, the beginning of the age of light. This is literally how Freemasons refer to this period, is called the age of light. And for this reason, God will send them strong delusion. The people themselves, this is another omen. Look around at the world today and see if people look delusional. Look at their fruits. See if they're acting delusional, out of their mind, schizophrenic, nutsoid, crazy, psychotic, insane. For this reason, God will send them strong delusion that they should believe the lie, and that they all may be condemned who did not believe the truth but had pleasure in unrighteousness. This is the lie. People will leave. It's a falling away. We learned this in the beginning. We're still talking about that. Okay? People leave the truth. They leave those commandments that are written in and upon your very heart, your soul. Okay? And the heart in Hebrew is lev, and it's really closer to the mind than it is the actual physical heart. Okay? But still, they're written upon your soul, your spirit. And people leave that. They're tempted they see everybody else in the world acting crazy, everyone else partying, everyone else, being wild and carefree. And, I don't know all the different words, but they're tempted to be like that. They want to be plugged back into the matrix. They want to be a rhinoceros just like all the other rhinoceroses. You know what I mean? That's the temptation, is to give in and to be evil as well, because everybody else is, or to feel crazy. So the world will become delusional. That is an omen of the apocalypse, and that must happen before the apocalypse comes. Because the world is delusional, that domino is going to knock over the next one and the next one. So we can ask ourselves, logically, we can predict the future and say, what kinds of events could we expect if we do a thought experiment? Let's suppose the whole world went delusional, actually lost their minds. Up was down, right was left, etc. What kind of things could we expect to happen in society very quickly? Those things are going to happen. The world will come undone. Next chapter or next part, stand fast. But we are bound to give thanks to God always for you, brethren, beloved by the Lord, because God from the beginning chose you for salvation through sanctification by the Spirit and the belief in the truth. That's poetic and beautiful. I love that. Chose you. Let me read that again. I love it. We are bound to give thanks to God always for you, brethren, beloved by the Lord, because God from the beginning chose you for salvation, meaning to be saved from this event. Through sanctification. What does that mean? To be set apart. It means to be different. Okay? He's talking to the black sheep of the world. He's talking to the people who are sanctified. Doesn't mean you're a saint, like you're ordained or anything, or you have to be approved by the Catholic Church or whatever. It means that you're a different person. You carry a different spirit, one that is opposite to the frequency of the world as we know it today. Those are saints. Those are those who are sanctified by the Spirit. Spirit to me is energy. It is your energetic signature. And not just that, and belief in the truth. Well, how do we know that you believe in the truth? Because you act accordingly. You act truthfully. You act honestly. You act in a way that shows your beliefs. This is what James was talking about in the New Testament. All right. All of you, to which he called you by our good news, our God spell, our God speak, our good speak, for the obtaining of the glory of our Lord Jesus Christ. Bam. Spreading the good news. 1, repentance. Stop being bad. If you know you're not a bad person, don't do bad things. It's really that simple. That is the message Jesus brought to people in the New Testament. Okay. He didn't say, people ask him, hey, what must I do to be saved? He didn't say, oh, you need to say this prayer. Here, I'll write it down for you. He didn't say any of that. He in essence said, stop being bad, start being good. That's the core of repentance. And if you're already a good person, you're good. Be good. Continue being good. Whatever you know to be good, do that. Whatever you know to be bad, don't do that. Fight the good fights. Stay in there and be good, because you're working on the shape of your spirit right now. You're working on your energetic signature right now. And there will come a time whenever that energetic signature is seared off, stamped, hardened. Can't change it. Because the energy in this surface world where we live will become so over the top, so overwhelming, as the energy becomes amplified, that it will amplify whatever current energetic signature you have, and you'll be possessed by your own spirit. You won't be able to change it. Yeah, that will be you. Okay. Now, this is, like I said, take it with a grain of salt and whatever you vibe with. But this is the way that I see these things. Therefore, brethren, stand fast and hold the traditions. That's important too, especially when it comes to the apocalypse. Hold the traditions which you were taught, whether by word or by epistle, which means writing. Hold the traditions. So many of the traditions that have been passed down to us in the modern day, you have all forgotten why you do them. You don't know why. You don't remember why. Allow me to share it with you. It's very simple. You have been taught many of these traditions to keep you safe, to keep your family safe, or their families, your forefathers' families, you today, your children, safe. I had a bunch of people asking me in the comments, well, how can I keep my children safe? They're, from the apocalypse or whatever. This is one of those ways. Hold to the traditions. The traditions have come to us from antiquity, when people knew that they needed to gather together at certain times of the year, keep certain feasts and festivals, light candles that would not go out for days at a time during certain times of the year, shut their doors, shut their windows, stay inside during certain times. And we're shared these particular holy times across religions. Look at the winter solstice. God, how many holidays fall on the winter solstice or around that time? There's a reason for it. People, all of those religions have lost touch with what that reason is. But there is a reason. It is to keep you safe. So hold to the traditions. Some people don't remember why they do certain traditions. Do them anyway. They're designed to keep you safe. For example, my brother mentioned this one the other day, but putting a horseshoe above your door, okay, to keep spirits out, to keep evil spirits out. The reason people have that tradition of putting a horseshoe, maybe not so much these days because not everybody has horseshoes these days or whatever, but there's substance to that. It comes from horseshoe-shaped magnets, which is the strongest form a magnet can take, aside from a cup magnet being three-dimensional version of a horseshoe magnet. But it's very strong. You put that face down over your door, and plasma is repelled by a strong magnetic force. So those plasmas, those spirits of the Lord that go knocking, or the Tommy knockers, they will stay away from your door. They won't try to get into your house to petrify, electrify, cause you to black out, electrocute you, whatever it may be. So that's a tradition. People used to put magnets above their doors to keep the plasma beings at bay. Over time, people forgot because the plasma dissipated. We stopped seeing those plasma beings in our world. So people forgot why they even put the horseshoe shape up there in the first place. And they stopped using magnets and they just put the horseshoe shape. And they're like, oh, it looks like a horseshoe. Let's put a horseshoe. That's where that comes from. But if you put one of those on your door and your door doesn't get blown over by hurricane force winds or whatever, and you're safe inside of your house, which is grounded to the bedrock, then yeah, you'll probably be much safer than your neighbor who doesn't have a horseshoe magnet or any kind of magnet on their door. Because that magnet will keep out plasmas that are attracted to whatever energy is inside of your house. And if you pay attention when you watch horror movies, a lot of what I'm saying, you'll start seeing that in the horror movies. It's symbolic, right? Now, may our Lord Jesus Christ himself and our God and Father, who has loved us and given us everlasting consolation and good hope by grace, comfort your hearts and establish you in every good word and work. That's beautiful. I wish that upon all of you as well. That is my blessing to you. I wish you comfort in your hearts and establish you in every good word and work. Let the things that come out of your mouth be good. This is one of my hardest temptations. You guys have heard me lose my mind on, a couple of live streams in the past 11 years. And it's shameful. I'm embarrassed. I always delete those ones. Even if I'm venting, some people are like, I love it when you vent or whatever, but I don't. It's embarrassing, man. I don't like being tempted to say vile things, even if it's against evil, because I'm not like that. I'm not like them. So I need to not I need to not be like them, right? Instead of saying I don't like them, I say I'm not like them. But I need to hold myself accountable and actually walk in a way that is counter to how evil people are walking. My actions need to match my words as well. All right, let's move on. Hold on, excuse me. Sorry for coughing. Let me check the chat, make sure everybody's doing good. 201 people watching. High fives to all of you guys. Good to see you guys. Let's see. All right, cool. Oh, check this out. So here we are in our poll for which movie I should decode next. Shawshank Redemption is in the lead right now with 32%. Ghostbusters 2 is at 23%. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at 20%. And Armageddon is in second place with 25%. Ooh, this will be a close one, man. This will be interesting. I'm excited to see. This is a pretty close race, actually. Let's jump back into it. Next book of the Bible, we're going to go to 2 Peter chapter 3. Man, this one's relevant to today as well. Let's check it out. All right, I'm going to go to 2 Peter. There's 2 Peters, 1 Peter and 2 Peter. Chapter 3. This one's so good. Like, if this one doesn't hit home with you, I don't know what will. Because this literally calls out the modern times that we live in. God's promise is not slack. That's the title here. Now, just for FYI, these titles are not actually written in the Bible, in the original language. These were added, okay, by interpreters or whatever, or printing companies or whatever, okay? Just to make it easier for your eyes, because, you need to break it up. People have bad attention spans. But that's fine. God's promise is not slack. Let's see what he says. Beloved, I now write to you the second epistle, which means writing or letter, in both of which I stir up your pure minds by way of a reminder. So he's reminding you of something because he loves you. He cares about you. He doesn't want to see you a part of this apostasy or falling away. What's that reminder? That you may be mindful of the words which were spoken before by the holy prophets. We just did that. We just did that in these past 3 episodes. So good. I'm proud. I'm honored. I'm honored that I could be doing intuitively what this guy is, also doing intuitively. So he's reminding you that you may be mindful to remember, to bring back to your memories the words which were spoken by the holy prophets, and of the commandment of us, the apostles of the Lord and Savior, knowing this first. So here's a command. We should remember what the prophets had said before, and a commandment that we should be following. Knowing this first, that scoffers will come in the last days. Let me translate that into modern English. Trolls. Trolls will come in the last days. People who purposefully troll you, okay? People who are disbelievers. They will come in the last times. They will not believe in anything except for those things which are satanic, those things which are evil and corrupt and support their own selfish agendas. their own selfish wants. Bible has a verse, Psalm 23, that says, I shall not want. If the Lord is your shepherd, you shall not want. You shall not have any wants. I literally don't really have any wants. I have things I need, to live or get by or whatever, you know what I mean? But I don't really want anything. But it's nice when I get stuff. People provide for each other. And I'm living proof of that. I'm just speaking for myself. Like I've been doing this full time for the past, 5 years at least, something like that. And I literally pay my electric bill because you guys provide. Like somehow people will give me a donation when I need it most or whatever. And I don't worry. I'm like, I'll do this for as long as I can do this for, That's why I don't normally ever come out and say, I need help or let me ask for donations or anything. There've been a couple of times when I found myself in a rough spot and you guys totally helped out. But my point here is, in the last days, which is the times we live in now, there will be non-believers. Not non-believers in whatever your religion is, non-believers in what is good. People will scoff at your goodness. People will scoff at the truth. Evil people will rise up in cult-like manner and say that they have the truth and they are the only ones who have the truth. You need to come to them and watch their channel because everyone else is suspicious and everyone else is evil and stuff. I'm telling you the opposite. Everybody has a piece of the puzzle. Be wise. Go around collecting those pieces. Don't put all your eggs into one basket, but recognize the truth for the truth. Decipher it for yourself. Recognize the truth. Scoffers will come in the last days, walking according to their own lusts and saying, where is the promise of his coming? Right? They're talking about the light of the world, Jesus. They're also talking about the apocalypse and the golden age. Where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of creation. These are the scoffers. These are the liars. These are people saying, I don't see any apocalypse. What signs? There's no omens. We've always had volcanoes blowing up. We've always had earthquakes. We've always had these things. We just have more technology. That's all. Scoffers. People that refuse to believe what is happening right in front of their face until a hole opens up in the ground and swallows them up into it. And they'll still be scoffing as they fall into the bottomless pit. They're saying this is how it's always been. There are no signs. There are no wonders. There are no omens. There's nothing to pay attention to. For this, they willfully forget ancient oblivion. Their memory, the knowledge has been obliterated. The truth has been suppressed, forgotten by us. For this, they willfully forget. They choose to forget. Can't hear you. That's doom and gloom. I don't want to hear about that. They forget this, that by the word of God, the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of water and in the water, by which the world that then existed perished. Let me highlight that word. Perished. They willfully forget that the world perished, being flooded with water. They willfully forget that. Literally teach oceans class. This is the ocean, blah, blah, blah. They just call it the ocean. They just slap a name on it and forget where it comes from. And they teach people it's giant slushy snowballs from space. Over millions of years, I guess. Space slushy snowballs that melted and created the ocean on lava earth, I guess. They willfully forget that the earth perished, flooded by water, that there was already an apocalyptic event of worldwide proportions that flooded the entire earth, although the evidence is still here with us today. They willfully forget that. They don't want to talk about that. Being flooded with water, But the heavens and the earth, which are now preserved by the same word, are reserved for fire until the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. What does that mean? That means in the exact same way that they can't remember what happened in the past whenever there was an apocalypse, they will not be able to see into the future that an apocalypse is right around the corner. This time it's the one by fire, because we go back and forth. Water apocalypse, fire apocalypse, water apocalypse, fire apocalypse. That's what this is saying. They refuse to see it. They willfully forget about the past, and therefore they willfully erase what is coming, saying nobody can know, you can't predict that. Although their very academic system predicts billions of years from now, the sun will grow to a red giant, and it will take in the inner 3 orbits of the first 3 planets, and it will burn the earth anyway. They just say it's not going to happen for millions of years, so live however you want to live. Eddie Knows hooked up a random JayDreamerZ membership to somebody in the chat. Gran Hermaga just picked it up too. Congratulations. Let's continue on. Judgment Day. Boom. Until the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. Something bad is going to happen to bad people. And that's the way it should be. That's how I see it. Okay. That should happen. I've been asking God for a long time why that doesn't happen, but it will. It will happen. That's the reality. People will get what they deserve. But, beloved, do not forget. Let me highlight that. Do not forget this one thing, that with the Lord, one day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as one day. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise. The promise of the apocalypse, okay? The promise of the return of Jesus, the promise of the opening of the sky, etc. It's the apocalypse. That means he's not lying, okay? He remembers. He knows that we're living life after life after life down here on the surface. He understands, okay? And I'm just saying he is because, that's how the Bible refers to this. But anyways, the Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some count slackness, but is long-suffering towards us, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. What does that mean in plain English? That means that the apocalypse takes a long time. It's an age. It's a whole eon from the start to the finish. And that's our time cycle. Okay? And what the author here is saying, what the writer is saying, is that you've got a lot of time. A lot of time to change your ways, a lot of times to repent, a lot of times to work on that spirit so that you deserve to enter into the Holy Land once again and live for a very long time so that whenever you come out of this place, your progeny, your children that come after you and their children, their children, their children will create a beautiful place. The world will not be like it is today, but hopefully a better place. And this is how you can help to change the future, by changing yourself. Let's also focus on this part too. With the Lord, one day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as one day. Well, that's interesting whenever it comes to trying to break down time cycles and stuff, right? So we have this great week of creation. We have this great week prototype. Okay, how we have 7 days in our week today. Where does that even come from? It comes from the 7 days of creation, right? So if we have the 7 days, and then according to the Bible, people are supposed to rest on the 7th day, which if you didn't know is not Sunday, but it's Saturday. And technically, that day begins just after sunset on Friday. So when the first 3 stars appear in the sky, or after the sun sets on Friday, until the sun sets again on Saturday, that technically is the Sabbath, okay? Technically. Most people today anyways, my point is there's one day of rest. That's one of the commandments, okay? To observe the Sabbath. 1 day of rest. So if we are to rest 1 day out of this weekly cycle, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc., then the earth needs to follow suit. Remember, I said it's a fractal verse. Everything that's happening on the small scale will also be reflected on the larger scale. The earth itself needs to rest every 7th day, but it's the macrocosm we're talking about, the earth now, much bigger. So 1 day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as 1 day. What does that mean? That means, quite simply, when we reach day 6,000, from 6,000 to 7,000, 1,000 years, the earth needs to rest. And we keep seeing this popping up in the Bible over and over again. 1,000 years, Satan will be released for 1,000 years, and there will be Satan's little season for, the Lord will reign for 1,000 years. There's the 1,000-year period keeps coming up. So when we hit that 6,000-year marker, then technically we should usher in the new age. Okay, the next age. I believe people fall short and they mess up when they're trying to calculate times because they don't take into consideration the dividing of time, as we went over in the book of Daniel, or as Jesus calls it, the shortening of the days. Okay, people don't realize time speeds up. They don't account for that. They think 24 hours today is the same 24 hours it was in the dark ages, and it's not. All right, and that's why people get lost. That's why calendar systems, calendrical systems get changed and altered all the time. That's why they're messing with daylight savings time right now. That's why they introduced leap year. That's why we have 11 days added to the calendar, a couple hundred years ago or whenever it was. That's why we have the phantom time hypothesis, etc. The day of the Lord, Judgment Day, Doomsday. The day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night. What does that mean? That means every single one of you is going to get caught off guard. You're not going to expect it. I expect it every single day. Like, I can't wait. Every day. I'm expecting it, okay? People always ask when it's going to happen. It's going to happen the day after tomorrow. That should be your mindset. Day after tomorrow. Say that today. When tomorrow comes, repeat it. When the next day comes, repeat it. That way, hopefully, you have that mindset that the apocalypse is coming the day after tomorrow. I need to get right now. The day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night. Everybody will get caught off guard. Also, it will literally be nighttime because all of the lights will go off. The sun will disappear. The moon won't give its light. In which the heavens, what's going to happen on the day of the Lord? The heavens, the sky itself, will pass away with a great noise. Why would the sky pass away with a great noise? If we're looking at it scientifically, what could possibly happen to cause some great noise in the sky as the sky itself seems to just disappear and there is no sky and the stars all blink out of existence? Well, if you have an academic mind and a modern scientific mind from your school systems, that's inconceivable. But if you have an ancient cosmological view of what the stars are and the sun and the moon and stuff, now it makes sense. The heavens, the sky itself will pass away with a great noise. Atmospheric depressurization is that great noise. There will be a great booming as the earth starts to explode in different areas as the gases from inside the earth burst forth into pillars of fire and flame and plasmas high up into the sky. The sky itself breaking open like a tea kettle that's ready to be poured. The elements will melt with fervent heat. That's how hot it's about to get. You think it's hot now? Whew, buddy, you just wait. Wait a few more years. If you have a few more years. The elements themselves, earth, fire, wind, water, and all those other things, will melt with fervent heat. That's extremely hot. This is the apocalypse by fire that we're talking about. What can cause that fervent heat? The sun. That's the number one answer. Survey says, ding, the sun. Yes, it is the sun. That is the hottest thing that we have on Earth, in the Earth, okay, is the sun, the sunlight. That's super hot. Both the earth and the works that are in it will be burned up. That's a promise. That is a guarantee. That has happened before. That is one of the cycles that's on the timeline. The earth is going to burn up. Not entirely. It's not going to turn back into lava, the lava earth or whatever. But the things that are in the earth, okay? The world that you know is going to be burned up. Trust me, this is the great reset. This is why we forgot about ancient times. We have a few clues that if we open our eyes, we can recognize them for what they are. Clues to the apocalypse, clues that we can chase as we chase the apocalypse and reverse engineer history to learn what has come. Where did all of that proof go? Where's all the antiquitech? Where's all that ancient technology? Where are the things that we have today in times past? If it's cyclical, they have been obliterated. They have been flooded. They have been sucked into the earth. They have been pulled down into the inner portions of the earth. They have been sucked up into the sky and shot out on the other side of the dome. They have been burned and melted, destroyed, obliterated. This is a complete reset event. Therefore, since all these things will be dissolved, what manner of person ought you to be? In holy conduct and godliness, looking for and hastening the coming of the day of God, because of which the heavens will be dissolved, being on fire. Fire will come from the sky, and the elements will melt with fervent heat. The question is, the root of this is not, how do I survive? Not all of you should survive. Okay? You know why? The question here is, what manner of person ought you to be? Since you know the apocalypse is coming, what kind of a person should you be? What kind of people would you like to have in the brand new world? What kind of survivors, if you are a survivor, what kind of other survivors what kind of company would you like to have in the post-apocalyptic world? You want to be surrounded by heathens and perverts and weirdos and murderers and stuff? I don't. So, what manner of person ought you to be, knowing that the world is coming to an end? Should you survive? What manner would you like other people to be? That's the way you should be. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth in which righteousness dwells. That's me. That's what I look forward to. And some people tell me, you shouldn't look forward to the apocalypse. Well, it says right here, we, okay, he's talking about him and his fellow followers. According to his promise, look forward to a new heavens, a new sky, a new earth. I look forward to that. There must be an apocalypse first. So therefore, I also look forward to the apocalypse. Yes, it's going to be terrifying. Yes, I might not even personally survive. That's okay with me. It's okay with me as long as the world becomes a better place. All right? That's how much I care about you guys. I would like to see whoever of you out there is to survive this. You deserve it, man. You deserve a break. You deserve paradise. You deserve to be happy and full of energy and be refreshed and renewed and healed of your sicknesses and your diseases. You deserve that. Some of you out there do deserve it, okay? Some don't. Some of you are nasty. But some of you deserve a new heaven and a new earth. And I look forward to that for you, which means I look forward to the apocalypse, which is what gives you a renewal of the sky and the earth itself. Therefore, be steadfast. That means remain who you are. Remain true to yourself, to your values. Therefore, beloved, looking forward to these things. Ah, yes, I do look forward to these things. Be diligent to be found by him in peace. Be peaceful. Be all the qualities that you would like to see the other survivors have in the new world. Be without spot. Be blameless. This is literally one of the commandments in the Bible. So Keep this in mind when people are telling you you're just a sinner. You can't help it. You're always going to sin. You're always going to be blemished. You're always going to be stained. Man, I could feel the righteous. I got righteous anger welling up inside of me right now, man, because I hate that teaching. But anyways, be diligent to be found by him, found when he comes, the master of the house returning. Okay. And this is talking about the apocalypse. If you want to translate it into biblical terms so that it makes sense to you, that's fine with me. Okay. I'm talking about the apocalypse happening. However you see this is fine. You could be Jewish. You could be Islamic. You could be Hindu. You could be whatever, Buddhist. I don't care. All of these teachings apply to you across the board. And you know this. If you have a true good spirit inside of you, you must recognize and see beyond. Oh, I don't like it's talking about the Bible. Oh, the Bible. And then, oh, yay, he's talking about the Quran because I'm on the Quran team. I'm Islamic. So yay, I support you all of a sudden. You know what I mean? Don't do that. These truths in this book and the other books and the other belief systems have a core about them. And that core is truth. And that's what we're speaking on. Be diligent to be found by him in peace without spot and blameless. Sin is a spot. Unrighteousness is to be blamed, something you can be blamed for doing. Stop being unrighteous. Do rightly. Don't have the spots on your record. Okay? Be good. Be a good person. It's not hard. You don't need a whole list of commandments. Just be good. Love your neighbor as you would love yourself. Be kind. Be considerate. Be thoughtful. Be tactful. Be compassionate. Be empathetic. Look at someone else like it's you. Consider that the long suffering of our Lord is salvation, as our beloved brother Paul, according to the wisdom given to him, has written to you, as also in all of his epistles or letters, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to understand, which untaught and unstable people twist to their own frickin' destruction, as they do also with the rest of the scriptures. Here's another thing that you can expect, okay? God, I hear this so much, dude. Or I used to hear it a lot. People have stopped following the word of Jesus Christ. Christians have. And there's these Paulites, these Pauline people, these people that follow Paul, and they're like, oh yeah, but Paul says I get to eat a tub of butter. Paul says all things are permissible. Paul says I can be as evil as I want to. And they're twisting these words of Paul because Paul was an intellectual. Paul wrote, for example, the book of Acts and a lot of other books in the New Testament, or they're attributed to this person named Paul. But Peter tells you right here, he's talking about Paul that wrote in wisdom to people in all of his letters, speaking of all these things that Peter's right now telling you about plainly. But the things that Paul says, some things people find it hard to understand them. Untaught people and unstable people twist the writings of Paul to their own destruction, as they do with the rest of the scriptures. This is an omen of the apocalypse. This is a part of the apostasy and the falling away. People will start twisting words, and they can do this with anything, okay? And they will, and they do this with anything. They'll start twisting it. That's one of the first things that hypocrites say. Yeah, but it says in the Bible, and they'll quote the Bible. They'll literally quote it, but they'll quote it out of context. They'll quote it as unlearned people, unstable people who are trying to create a God in their own image. They'll say that about me right now. They'll say that's what I'm doing, because they project their evil onto other people. But I say, judge them by their fruits. That's how you know. So people will begin to twist the scriptures, the writings, the biblical ones, and many others. You need to look out for this, okay? There's so many examples. Tithing is a good example. You fell for a scam if you think tithing is something that you're supposed to do. It's not. Okay? If you want to give money to a homeless guy, or you want to donate to your favorite YouTuber or whatever, that's different. But you are not required. Oh God, like I'm I'm kind of, let me just say this and get it out. I need to vent, okay? You are not required. This is a part of twisting the scriptures. You are not required to give 1/10 of your income to your local congregation when they pass the hat around. They will try to make you feel bad, and they will do that publicly so that you see everyone else is doing it and you have peer pressure to do it as well. There is no biblical commandment to do that. Tithing comes from the Old Testament, which most Christians and Protestants today don't even believe in the old laws of the Old Testament. And that's where that comes from. And where does that come from? It comes from keeping the feasts and the festivals. And people were commanded when they went on long journeys to these feasts and festivals, which were essentially potlucks, to bring 10% of their crops and animals so that they can have a barbecue with family members, and that nobody would go without, so they can have potlucks, basically. Okay. And whenever people were like, well, it's really difficult for me because I have a broken leg or whatever to bring 1/10 of all my stuff, then they made an exception. And that's where they went wrong. They said, I'll tell you what, sell the 10th, bring the money, and then when you get to town, you can use that 10% to buy and contribute to the feasts and the festivals. Now, other people are going to try to twist the Bible just like it says that they would, and they're going to tell you otherwise. They're going to say, nope, Paul says, or whatever. It says in the New Testament over here, we need to give our money to our pastor or whatever. That's fine, man. If that's what you want to do, it's your money. You can do whatever you want to with it. I'm just here to tell you that that's not biblical. Okay. You can do it, and I'm okay. I don't care. You can give them all your money if you want. That's fine. You can give me all your money if you want to. Not going to complain, but you don't have to. You shouldn't feel like a bad person if you don't, or if you can't. You're taxed enough. God does not need that money. This good news will spread regardless. I promise you that. Anyways, it's just, I can't stand unrighteous works. Especially when they take advantage of the ignorant. Anyways, you therefore, beloved, since you know this beforehand, since we're learning before the apocalypse comes, what's to come, beware. That means watch out. Lest you also fall from your own steadfastness, being led away with the error of the wicked. You're tempted to just give up, be evil, do evil things, take advantage of people too. And if you do it enough, you're going to stop feeling bad about it. Okay. Like all you people that work at call centers and you go around harassing people, and you know what I mean? I don't know. That's besides the point, but you know what I'm saying? Stop doing evil, man. Like, don't tell me, well, I'll lose my job. Dude, I worked at T-Mobile before I went full-time doing YouTube, and I straight up told T-Mobile. They said, everyone's going to have to get this shot. And I said, not me. I'm telling you right now. Are you going to fire me? Because let's just have it out right now. I'm telling you, it's not happening. They're like, well, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, nah, I need you to understand where I stand on this. That won't happen. So take care of it now. Fire me now if that's what you're going to do, or tell me I'm okay and you're going to make an exception. You know what I mean? I didn't go around telling people, well, I had to. Otherwise, I could lose my job or whatever. My integrity and my moral standards and my life and my genetics and everything that is good about me is not worth sacrificing for somebody else to put some crap into my body. That's not happening. And I feel bad for the people that had felt like they had to do that. The reality is you don't. Every man dies. Not every man really lives. Start really living. Make it worth it. But grow in grace and knowledge of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. To him be the glory both now and forever in the time to come. Amen. And that is 2 Peter. Revelation. Oh boy, where do we begin? Where do we start with Revelation? I'm going to skim through Revelation. That's what I'm going to do. You guys enjoy that? Where are you guys? How are we doing on the movie decode poll? Shawshank Redemption has 32%, Ghostbusters 21%, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 21%, and Armageddon has 26%. It's looking like it might be the Shawshank Redemption next up. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Let's continue on. Let's go to the book of Revelation. Now, if you're interested, I have already done a whole decode on the book of Revelation, which is why I'm going to skim through it. So go to my Plasma Apocalypse playlist, look for the book, Revelation, or type it into the search Revelation or whatever, and you'll be able to find that, okay? But you should find a lot of similarities between what I've already said and what I'm about to comment on. And I'm just doing this off the fly, by the way. Every single one of these, I have not prepared. I have not sat down and wrote a script or a study or anything like that. I mean, I've done studies galore in the past, but this is all off the top, okay? This is stuff children should be able to understand about these things. And I'm thankful that I'm able to share that type of an understanding with you guys. All right, book of Revelation. Let's go there, shall we? Where is it? At the top. All right, Revelation. Last book of the Bible. Oh, boy. Hold on. How should I do this? I'm going to skip the introduction. Am I actually? I don't know. Damn, I don't want to read the whole book, but the whole book's so good. Like, it's everything. Everything in the Revelation is my favorite. I do want to get to the part where it talks about the physical description of Jesus. That part's interesting. Oh, there's greetings to the 7 churches. That is you people out there, okay? So there are 7 mountains up in the North Pole that carry certain energetic signatures. You people who study astrology have forgotten that the Earth is the #1 influencer, not the sun, okay? The Earth, not your birth sign, the Earth. The Earth is the #1 influencer. When you can start figuring out the Earth, right, and the 7 lights at the North Pole, etc., you can start figuring out the stars a little better, and you can fine-tune your astrological teachings. Greetings to the 7 churches. This is you people, the lost tribes of the Tree of Life, spread around the world. All right? There are 7 mountains in the North Pole. Each one is a plasma volcano. There's more than 7, but there's 7 major ones, okay? Each one is a plasma volcano, and it will burst forth its own pillar of light in the near future. And these are considered the 7 churches. These are islands where people actually lived, all right? And they lived in these places of power. Let's see. I'm going to skip around here. So he says this message is from the 7 spirits. These are those 7 lights. 7 mountains, who are before his throne. This throne right here, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Boom. Something like that. All right. 7 spirits who are before his throne, and from Jesus Christ, the faithful witness, firstborn from the dead, which is also an epithet of Osiris, and the ruler over the kings of the earth. What else? He is coming with clouds. So this beam of light will emerge when the vapor canopy comes back to the world that we live in. That vapor canopy will be created by rapid atmospheric depressurization. Every eye will see him. This is huge. Unless it's televised or something. I don't know how this is possible on a spinning, wobbling, tilting, flying, tilt-a-whirl, ball-shaped, pear-shaped, Earth flying through uncharted, unknown space, chasing a huge fireball. You can't. People in Australia can't see Jesus if he's on the other side of the Earth. That's just the nature of things. But if he's at the North Pole, and if he is the light of the world that shoots up from this central location, okay, all the way up to the sky, the top of the sky, or the top of the dome, the apex dome, and that apex dome is reflective and shows that same light, then yes, everybody on earth will be able to see that light. Even they who pierced him. Now that's interesting, the piercing part. That kind of reminds me of Project A119 and NASA and Elon and them shooting rockets up at the moon, and I believe they're trying to actually pierce the firmament itself. All right, I am the Alpha and the Omega. That's the first letter and the last letter of the Greek alphabet. So the first and the last, the beginning and the end and the beginning, it's all the same. the beginning and the end, says the Lord, who is, bam, and who was, and who is to come. That right there says cyclical. Can't highlight it for some reason. Okay, that's the kind of verbiage you would use if you're talking about something that is repetitive. Who is now, who was before, and who is to come again. These are cycles. All right, so this is John, exiled, I believe, on the island of Patmos, writing these things down as he was inspired. He's on an island. That's interesting too. Right? Islands are places of power. Places of power have openings that go down into the earth, cave systems, where people received revelation, whether it be a Christian saint or whether it be some priestess, that goes down, some seer. I put a sock on this light so it doesn't light up and distract me. Hold on, let me get that sock. That sock fell down. Anyways, these are places of power, these cave systems, okay? Because those energies stay in those places. God, I can't, hold on. Get the sock. Oh, okay. Ooh, buddy. Next month is my birthday. I'll be 47. Isn't that crazy? Yes, it is crazy because time is speeding up and I'm not really 47. Probably closer to 30 something. All right. This won't stay now. I don't want to mess up the audio. There we go. All right, cool. There's a sock on there. You guys didn't know that, did you? Anyways, can you still hear me okay? Let me check my audio. I want to make sure I didn't mess up the microphone. All right, we're good. All right, sweet. Let's jump back in here. So John is exiled on the island of Patmos. I have a rap about John too. Oh no, it's about John the Baptist. It's a different John. He says, I was in the spirit on the Lord's day. That means I saw Judgment Day. Okay. And I heard behind me a loud voice as a trumpet. That's the trumpets of God. That's the shofar being blown. That's the earth, the inner earth zephyr. You'll hear that sound. Saying, I am the first and the last. I'm just going to skip through here. So he lists the 7 churches. Here we go. And then he sees, I saw 7 golden lampstands, lights in the North Pole. And in the midst of the 7 lampstands, bam, right there. In the middle of them was one like the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the feet and girded about the chest with a golden band. In ancient times, gold meant shining. His head and his hair were white like wool and white as snow. So white at the top. His eyes like a flame that's light, a fire that's light. People will try to describe this and make it physical, like Caucasians, they really want like a Caucasian Jesus. Black people really want a black Jesus. Mexicans, you know what I mean? Like Middle Eastern, I don't know. Mexicans are okay, I guess, with a Caucasian Jesus. I don't know how it works. But anyways, that's all garbage, man. That's all garbage, okay? He's not going to look how you want him to look because you'll see. Anyways, it's describing a light. All right. His feet were like fine brass, as if refined in a furnace. Something that's refined in a furnace is glowing. So his feet glow. His voice as the sound of many waters. That's the static electricity sound that we were talking about in our prior presentation. He had in his right hand 7 stars. And out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword. Now, there will be 7 stars seen in the heavens under the apex dome. That's just these 7 lights below lighting up, and the apex dome reflects those. So people will look up, they'll see 7 stars right there where the apex dome is, but it's not stars, it's just reflections from what is below these 7 churches, these 7 mountains, which are emitting light. He had in his right hand 7 stars. Out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword. We talked about that earlier. This is the mouth. That's the opening in the earth right there. And out of it, just like this bar shoots up out of that, a beam of light shoots right up to the sky. Excalibur, the two-edged sword. Let's see what else. His countenance, his face was like the sun. So here's more light. Okay. He's called the light of the world because he is the light of the world, shining in its strength. And when I saw him, I fell at my feet as though I were dead. He said, do not be afraid. See, that's good. If you understand more, the more you understand, the less afraid you need to be because you understand what's going on. Let's see. I am he who lives and was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore. Cyclical. I have the keys. So he's the key holder. My buddy, the black sheep researcher, he does a lot of Janus symbolism. He talks about the number 11, the janitor god of the Romans, Janus, and how he's the one who holds the keys as well. This is why the Vatican uses that particular symbolism. But the keys of death and Hades, to be able to unlock the inner earth. Okay? Hades is the inner earth. When this beam comes up out, everything in the inner earth will be released. Pandora's box will be opened. Okay? And death. Death, I believe it says it in here, death will be no more. There will be a time of no death. You will not be able to die. So he commands him to write down all of these things, the mystery of the 7 stars, which you saw in my right hand, and the 7 gold lampstands. The 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches. So then now we have to get into what you mean by angel. Well, there's a little M right here. This is verse 20. So let's click on the M, see what it says. It says, is that right? Verse 20. I don't know. I kind of lost it here. Where's 20? Oh, 20 right here. Hidden truth. All right, let me get back to where I was here. The 7 stars are the 7 angels, or the hidden truth of the 7 churches. And the 7 lampstands, these are lights, which you saw are the 7 churches. All right, this is not like, this is the church of today. Like, there's just different churches or actual physical buildings, or a group of people around the world that are like the Catholics and the Mormons and whatever. That's not it. All right. These are physical places on earth. And there are people who live or will live and did live in these physical places, on these volcanic islands, on these magnetic mountain islands. All right. Now you may carry the same energetic signature as one of those churches or as one of those islands. All right. You very well may. And there's truth to that. All right. Next up, let's see what we got. Chapter 2. What does that bring us? The Loveless Church. Oh, these are going to go into all the different churches. I'm going to skip this part, okay? Because I have broken down this part before. And it's just going to talk about all these different churches and advice to them all. He's sort of calling them out, telling them what they're good at, what they're bad at. Oh, here we go. After these things, I looked, and behold, a door standing open in heaven. That's the apex dome. That's the opening in the sky. That's the depressurization point. The first voice which I heard was like a trumpet speaking with me, saying, "Come up here, and I will show you the things which must take place after this." So there is an opening in the heavens. Our closed system must depressurize and open up. Immediately I was in the spirit. I saw a throne that was set in heaven, and someone who sat on the throne. Now, let me tell you something. This is the throne. It is reflected in the apex dome above. So when people go up and they look at the apex dome, they will see a reflection of what is below. Okay? So there is a throne up there that people see that is a reflection of the throne down here, which is right here in the middle of the world. And then it says, he who sat on it was like jasper, sardis stone in appearance. There was a rainbow around the throne. This is all colors that you will see at the North Pole in the sky. the auroras and whatnot. Also, there's going to be like a lot of mist and stuff in the air, and as the light passes through that mist, it will scatter the light and create like a, what do you call that? It'll create a rainbow, basically. Around the throne, there were 24 thrones. And on those thrones, I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white robes. They had crowns of gold on their head. Well, let's talk about this. This is not actual human beings that are sitting down with actual crowns or whatever. Around the throne, this place right here, boom, there are 24 other thrones. Well, if this throne is a mountain, there must be 24 other mountains in this region. Okay? All of which have light coming up out of them. There are many different openings in the earth in the North Pole, and there's different sizes of light beams or pillars that will erupt from the center of the world. Okay, we start with the largest one in the middle. That's the main light source. That's the largest one. Then we go from there to the two subsequent, the anode and the cathode on the other side. From there, we have four main ones, which I believe each of these islands has at least one very large volcano on it, which helps to create it, probably around the outside, I'm guessing. I'm not sure on that though. So then we have like the seven lights, the seven lampstands, etc. The Bible talks about like another horn that raises up. So there's other mountains that will come up out of the ocean, etc. But there are these 24 elders that go around or sit around the central one. This is the table, the round table of King Arthur. Right? That's why oftentimes in the movies, if you watch some sort of King Arthur movie, in the middle, they'll put a lamp or a fire or a tree or something that's symbolic of this place in the middle of that round table, oftentimes. Or they'll just put a cross on it or something like that. All right, let's continue on. I'm going to skip through a little bit. From the throne, that's this place right in the middle. From there, from the Mount Meru, proceeded lightnings and thunderings and voices. Literally tells you it's a plasma volcano. Lightning comes up out of it. 7 lamps of fire were burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God. Not a physical church building. Before the throne, there was a sea of glass like crystal. So remember, he's looking up at what is below. He was taken up and he was shown the reflection of what's below. At least that's how I'm interpreting that so far. Okay. So if he's actually looking up, it makes sense he would see a sea of glass because it's the dome that he's looking at. And in the midst of the throne and around the throne were 4 living creatures full of eyes in the front and in the back. So there's these living creatures. I've talked before about how I believe those are types of sprites and transient luminous events. I'm going to skip through this part. So their angels are all praying and everything. Everybody's worshiping the central figure. All right, let's move on to the next one. The Lamb takes the scroll. Oh, I have a scroll. My Goonies map scroll. All right, the Lamb takes the scroll. I need to roll this up to make a point, okay? All right. And that's okay, I guess. All right. So, the Lamb, let's talk about that. There's a scroll that has 7 seals on it. All right. So they put like wax 7 times across the scroll traditionally. And no one is found to be able to open the seals. All right. They say, who's worthy to open all of these? Well, there is one worthy to open all the seals. Now, keep in mind, there are 7 seals because there are 7 churches, because there are 7 mountains that are volcanic. Extinct volcanoes that have been sealed at the top because they have lava plugs, now rock plugs. And those seals will burst forth as the inner earth pressure builds and builds, and each one by one, from the weakest to the strongest, boom, explodes and blows its top. And you will hear them blowing their top from all around the world like it's Krakatoa. All right. So then they find the person who was able to open the seals. let's see. It's basically the light of the world, Jesus, or the Lamb. They call him the Lamb, right? Worthy is the Lamb. The word lamb goes all the way back to the word lamp and flame, and it means light. That's why Jesus is the Lamb, okay? Lion is also a word that implies to flow. It comes from the word lu, and it means to flow. So the flowing light, the lion and the lamb. All right. So, anyways, there's these 7 seals. What else? Sorry to kind of skip around, but I don't have time tonight to go over the whole book of Revelation. Sorry. Now, here's all these people. Everybody's praising. Let's skip to the seals. Let's actually get to the point here. First seal. Okay, the conqueror. Boom. Now he opens up the first seal. So whenever that first mountain blows its top and adds more pressure into this sealed world or this closed system that we live in, it has an impact on our actual rest of the world. 1, people are going to hear that. 2, people are going to see the corresponding light beam shooting up from the ocean in the northern hemisphere. They're going to start talking and wondering what's going on. It's going to change our weather patterns. It's going to have a lot of, every time this happens. So he looked, and behold, a white horse. He who sat on it had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went out conquering and to conquer. So this is the 4 horsemen, the first of the 4 horsemen, and it's war. Okay, so you add pressure into the atmosphere, people become agitated, and they become a warlike people. Dr. Human Yell in the chat with a super chat. Thank you. Have I thought of reading Joseph's dreams, Rainbow Coat and Brothers in the circle, bowing to him in context? Yes, I have, actually. Yes, I love lamp. Yes, it's the same story to me, Joseph in the Technicolor dream coat and his brothers. It's all the same story. All right. Thank you very much, by the way. All right. So when he opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature saying, check this out. Another horse, the horseman of fiery red, went out, and peace was taken from the earth, that people should kill one another. Okay. So now people start becoming psychotic, like we talked about, delusional, and they start going to war with each other. All right. Scarcity on earth. The third seal opens up, and there's a black horse, and there's a pair of scales, like when you weigh something, right? And I heard a voice saying, a quart of wheat for a denarius and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius. Do no harm to the oil and the wine. Okay. I really wish they would write that a different way, because nobody today knows what that means. I'll tell you what that means. Okay. It means you will all work all day long just so you can go have one meal at Applebee's or whatever, basically. Okay. That's basically what that means. Everything is going to get really expensive to the point where only the rich will be able to survive. Okay. There will be 2 classes. There will be the dirt poor and homeless, and there will be the super rich. But the things that will not change in price are the oil and the wine. The things that dull your senses, and oil, which has is used for plastics and all that type of stuff. I'm not sure if that's the same type of oil, but anyways, you get the point, right? The wine here is the main thing, and you can bet on that one every time. Alcohol will just remain cheap. Okay. All the bread and circuses and stuff is going to remain cheap for you guys so that you don't pay attention. All right. 4th seal, widespread death on earth. This is going to happen before the apocalypse happens. Okay. A bunch of people are going to die. As a matter of fact, the fertility rates are going to start going down. So it'll appear like even more people are dying. They already have started going down, but they're going to reach all-time lows so that it becomes a huge concern for each nation on the earth. When he opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th living creature saying, check this out. So I looked, and behold, a pale horse. The name of him who sat on it was Death, and Hades followed him. So Hades starts to open up. Power was given to them over 1/4 of the earth to kill. Okay, so 1/4 of the people will die on earth. So if we have 8 billion people now, that means there will be 2 billion people that will die before the apocalypse. And they will die how? Beasts of the earth, Well, if Hades opens up, there's lots of beasts inside the earth too. Death, the die by death, hunger, sword, etc. All right, next up. Fifth seal opens up. Basically all of the dead people, all of the saints who have already died are like, how long is it going to be? Is it time? Is it time? They're starting to get excited. How long before we're avenged? All of the martyrs, all the people who have been killed by evil people throughout time. And they're told to be patient a little while longer. The sixth seal opens up, cosmic disturbances. Interesting. I looked, and when he opened the sixth seal, behold, there was a great earthquake. Now, before this, there will be a bunch of earthquakes that you will think are great earthquakes. No. Nothing like this one. This is the great earthquake of the sixth seal. The sun will become black as sackcloth, and the moon will become like blood. Why? Because volcanoes are starting to all erupt. That's how big this earthquake will be. Okay? And there'll be soot and ash and stuff all in the atmosphere. And it will blot out the sun. Well, it won't completely blot out the sun, but it'll become dark. And the moon will become red. The stars of the heaven will fall to the earth. So you'll have all these meteor showers and stuff like that. What else? The sky receded as a scroll when it rolled up during the sixth seal. And every mountain and island moved out of its place. This is atmospheric depressurization. Also, those stars that fall are plasma filaments that come out of the weak points in the dome, and they trickle down in pink lines. Okay? The sky was receded like a scroll, means rolled up like a scroll. So the sky doesn't, some people roll up scrolls on both ends, so they think it looks like this. That's not it, okay? It's one scroll rolled up just like this. And what do you have in the middle on this side? A spiral, okay? So what people do see when they look up at the sky is they will see all the whatever light they can see spiraling around and swirling around. Why? Because the plug of the firmament has been pulled. There's an opening in the dome above us, and all of that fluid will spiral around as it gets sucked out. So people will see a spiral in the heavens, one big, huge, great spiral. And that's what the scroll will look like when it recedes or whatever. Every mountain and island will move out of their place. This is worldwide earth shaking. Okay. The kings of the earth and the great men, these are your government leaders, rich men, commanders, mighty men, every slave, every free man, hid themselves in caves and in the rocks of the mountains. They hid themselves from the apocalypse. So this must mean that they were boring into those mountains and making those caves beforehand. Not a lot of people just know their local cave system, but they do know their local doomsday bunkers and stuff. It said to the mountains, fall on us and hide us from the face of the one who sits on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. So this is the return of Jesus. It's crazy how many people talk about like it being a peaceful event. It's not. It's the exact opposite. People's minds are upside down. When Jesus returns, he comes with armies upon armies of angelic hosts who are here to kill people. This is a wrath. This is righteous anger manifest, and I can't wait. I'm gonna celebrate. I'm gonna have a flag, like the Indian do when they landed on the moon. The Indian president. We landed on the moon. Like you're waving his little flag. I'm gonna wave my little flag. Point. Evil people live down there, or whatever. I don't know. I'm excited for it. The day of his wrath has come. Who is able to stand? You literally will not be able to stand up. You will bow down. You'll hit your knees. I promise. What else? I wish it gave me a summary of these. It's the sealed. Looks like I might be using an ad blocker. You're correct. I am. The sealed of Israel. All right. So then there's people who are sealed. Remember how I said you get to that point where your conscience will be sealed? Right? It will. There will be people who are sealed. Like that's it. You're good people. And it lists 144,000, one from each tribe. I believe those tribes come from this place. Okay. So this is divided into quadrants. And all of those tribes come from these 4 lands. Each land has 3 tribes to it, 3 sections, 3 countries, if you will. Each one from each tribe. And then there's a multitude from the Great Tribulation, which is like even more people than 144,000. And they're all singing and stuff. All right, I'm just gonna skip ahead a little bit more. 7th seal, prelude to the 7 trumpets. All right. When he opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven for about half an hour. No, hold on. Let me talk about 7 seals versus 7 trumpets. All right. Why did they decide to use this language? Because the seals, like I said, are volcanoes in the earth. They blow their top, the seals come off. Then the wind comes up out of that, the zephyr comes up out of those, and it blows a horn, it makes a sound. So the trumpets must come next after the seals are opened. He opened the 7th seal. There was silence in heaven for about a half an hour. Why? Because we just had atmospheric depressurization. Okay, the sky, everything on the surface will be like a vacuum. You live in a vacuum. Inside of a vacuum, there's silence for about a half an hour. And then I saw the 7 angels who stand before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets, each one. Another angel having a golden censer came and stood at the altar. He was given incense, blah, blah, blah. What else? He throws this censer, right? The smoke of the incense, prayers of the saints. Then the angel took the censer, filled it with fire from the altar, and threw it to the earth. And there were noise, thunderings, lightnings, and an earthquake. I believe that this is talking about the apex dome itself actually falling to the earth, possibly. Okay, that's a possibility for me. So they're all preparing to blow their horns. The first one sounds hail and fire, hail mixed with fire, and mixed with blood, were thrown down to the earth. So ice falls down from the sky, okay? Large ice, not tiny little hailstones, big chunks of ice as the firmament has broken up. Mixed with fire, which is the plasmas, and blood. That's probably, if I'm guessing, I don't think it's actual blood. I would say it's water, because all of that, the atmosphere just depressurized. So it's going to kick up dust and dust and dirt and stuff up into the upper atmosphere. That will mix with the moisture. That will oxidize because of the oxygen that's being released from those beams of light, and it will basically cause them to rust and turn red. So you're going to have red drops of liquid that will hit the surface world where we live. They will dry out, and all the land will be rusty, red, orangish in color, which is post-apocalyptic. A third of the trees will burn up. All the green grass burns up. The seas are struck in the 2nd trumpet. Something like a great mountain burning with fire was thrown into the sea, and a third of the sea became blood. Now, I believe that is not rust, but that's actually, I'm getting tired, sorry. I believe that is reference to red tide. A third of the living creatures in the sea die, which you would expect from red tide, and a third of the ships were destroyed. I believe a lot of these ships are destroyed because of the gases being released in the ocean. And when you release a bunch of gas underneath a ship in the ocean, the ship will sink. It can't remain buoyant. The waters are struck. The 3rd angel sounded. A great star fell from heaven, burning like a torch, and it fell on a third of the rivers and the springs of water. So all the water is made bitter. The heavens are struck. A third of the sun was struck, a third of the moon, a third of the stars, so that they were darkened. A third of the day did not shine, and likewise the night. I heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's funny. Whoa, whoa, whoa is literally like 666. It's pronounced vav, vav, vav. Anyways, to the inhabitants of the earth. All right, what else we got? And same thing with like wow. If you say wow, it's the same thing. All right, the locusts. Oh yes, the locusts. So there's going to be gigantic insects that come up out of this mountain right here and other openings in the earth. Huge ones. If you would like a great visual, go watch the movie The Mist. It shows you perfectly. So there's a star that falls to the earth, and it opens up the bottomless pit. The bottomless pit opens up, and there's a bunch of smoke that comes up, and there's these giant insects. Okay, I'm not going to read this all, but I will read this important part. There are these huge grasshopper-looking, disgusting bugs that come up from inside of the earth. They sting people. In those days, men will seek death and will not find it. This is the time of no death. This is how much energy is on the surface world. They will desire to die, and death will flee from them. Now, the locusts are allowed to torment people like this for a period of 5 months. You see that? So this is how long I believe that the time of no death will last, for approximately 5 months. All right, I'm just going to skip past some of this. Now, there's another trumpet, the angel from the Euphrates. Let me show you where the Euphrates is. This is the Euphrates, not in the Middle East. That's the Euphrates up there. All right, what else? The sixth angel sounds, and he says, release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river, the Euphrates. So the 4 angels who had been prepared for this day and hour and month and year were released to kill a third of mankind. A third of mankind will be killed by these angels. Now, the number of the army of the horsemen, now that's interesting. The angels have horses? Was 200 million. I heard the number of them. And those that sat on them, and it starts to describe, all these angels and stuff. So people, whatever they are, come from the North Pole, and they come out and they kill 200 million, or they kill a third of mankind. Now listen to this. Out of their mouths came fire, smoke, and brimstone. Fire, smoke, and brimstone, killing a third of mankind. These are plagues. A third of mankind was killed by the fire and the smoke and the brimstone. Okay, not swords or anything like that. So it's the inner earth. This fire and brimstone, all this stuff comes from inside the earth. The earth is releasing its gases and toxins and stuff up here onto the surface world. What else? Let's see. The rest of mankind who are not killed by these plagues still didn't repent of their evil. And so we need more, right? So let's read on. The mighty angel with the little book. I saw another mighty angel coming down from heaven clothed in a cloud, and a rainbow was on his head. His face was like the sun, and his feet were like pillars of fire, beams of light that shoot up. He set his right foot on the sea, his left foot on the land. So this is one pillar coming from this pillars of Hercules over here, and the other one coming from the other pillars of Hercules that's in the ocean right now. And then it kind of bows inward. That's kind of how I see that. All right, what else? So he says to seal up all of this stuff, right? But we're reading it now, so it's obviously not sealed up. Let's see. The angel, this angel is the same as Metatron. It's the same as Jesus, etc. And he raises one hand up, which means the other hand is down. And he seems to be swearing an oath. This is the squatter man at the center of the world. So he eats the book. All right, let me move on here. Revelation 11. 2 witnesses. Okay, cool. So the 2 witnesses are the 2 legs of that great angel. Okay. These 2 beams, the pillars of Hercules that shoot up. Now they measure the temple of God. This is interesting. So the temple is the same dimension. So people assume it's like a cube. It's not a cube. Okay. That's just the cube mentality that we have during this age. It's a dome. Okay. Now, these are the 2 olive trees. Remember, we talked about olive trees in the prior presentation and what they symbolize. The 2 lampstands, so they're lights, standing before the God of the earth. These are the 2 witnesses. This is positive and negative energy shooting out on either side of the Garden of Eden. If anyone wants to harm them, fire proceeds from their mouth, just like how fire proceeds from this mouth, the sword of truth that shoots up from the middle and devours their enemies. These have the power to shut heaven so that no rain falls in the time that they prophesy. So they influence the weather. They have power over waters to turn them to blood. Like I said, they're introducing oxygen. So it's just oxidizing stuff and turning it rusty. And to strike the earth with all plagues as often as they desire. So, you can hear them erupting or whatever. Now the witnesses will be killed or appear to be killed. So they will disappear for a time, but then they will rise back up as they are resurrected. The seventh trumpet, the kingdom proclaimed. Kind of skimming through this right now. All right, I'm going to skip to the next one. 12. What else we got here? The woman, the child, and the dragon. Ooh, man, this is a lot to go over. All right. A sign appeared in the heavens. This is the apex dome up there, reflecting back what you have. A woman clothed in the sun, the moon under her feet. So you have the sun, the moon. This is a conjunction. Oh, on her head are the garland of 12 stars. Being with child, she cried out in labor pains to give birth. All right, so this is all talking about the birth of the light of the world, or the blue beam that will shoot up lastly. What else? Oh, a fiery red dragon appeared in the sky, having 7 heads and 10 horns, because it reflects this place. This has 7 heads and 10 horns down here on the ground. The fire red dragon appears in the sky, which is the apex dome, and those plasma filaments that undulate down out of it. So I believe it's talking about that. A third of the stars fell from the heavens, and that will be the weak points on the apex dome and the plasma filaments coming out of them, like I talked about. Let's see. Then the child will be born. That will be the light of the world coming out of the inner earth. Satan will be thrown out of heaven. War broke out in the heavens. Now you're going to see all kinds of war in the heavens. This is all that positive and negative, all the electromagnetic happenings, between the plasmas and the gases and stuff like that. So you're going to see plasmoids, lightnings. You're going to see all kinds of crap happening way up there in the heavens, and it'll look like war. It'll look like explosions, flashes of light, all kinds of stuff. So the devil was cast down to the earth. His angels were cast down with him. This happened in the past. This will happen in the future. Then I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, now salvation, strength. Okay, let me kind of skip forward here. Oh, here we go. So beware, people of the earth, for the devil has come down to you, having great wrath, because he knows he has a short time. That is the time you live in. The time where the devil has already come down to the earth, because the apocalypse has already happened, and he has short time. That means the shortening of the days. Time has been shortened. That's why he has a short amount of time. Okay. All right. Let's see. Oh, the earth people. Hold on. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon had spewed. So yes, there's going to be flooding because the inner earth depressurizes, pushes up all the pure water to the top. What else? People are going to see 3 objects in the sky too. I don't remember where it says that in Revelation. I think it talks about these spirits that look like frogs or something. But in that great apex dome reflection that people see, you're going to see 3 circles. And this has been seen in times past. Okay, people have drawn pictures of it and stuff during the Dark Ages. But you will see that too. The beast from the sea. So the beast comes up out of the sea. It is the Arctic Sea. It's the North Sea. I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 horns, 7 heads, 10 horns on its head. All you need to know about this is these are islands rising up out of the Arctic Ocean, and it straight up tells you that these are mountains. Okay, the 7 heads, 7 angels, 7 seals, 7 trumpets, 7 mountains are all the same thing. All right, beast from the earth. This is all talking about stuff that comes up and rises up from the ocean in the Arctic. Okay, I'm honestly getting super tired, guys. I've been talking for a long time. So I'm just gonna summarize faster. Sorry. What else we got here? Proclamation, three angels. I have broken all of this down. I do apologize for skipping so much here at the end, but dang, I'm tired. Reaping the earth's harvest. So this is a great harvest. Reaping the grapes of wrath. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of blood spilt and stuff. There's gonna be a lot of death and everything. What else? Revelation 15, prelude to the bowl judgments. Oh yeah, there's these bowls. So 7 bowls as well, right? So after you already have those beams of light that shoot up into the sky, they split off into 2, just like this. And they do this today. If you look at beams of light, whenever the air is kind of frozen, you'll see the same thing. Light pillars shoot up and they split just like that, which looks like a bowl pouring light down onto the earth. That's why there's these bowl judgments, okay? Now, these also have significant consequences to the people who live on the surface. All right, let me read the next one and get right to the bowl judgments. 7 bowls. Why do you think there's 7 bowls? Because there's 7 lights, 7 mountains, right? Pour out the bowls of wrath on the earth, loathsome sores. So there are these sores that develop. Sores come upon men who had the mark of the beast and who worshipped his image. You guys can speculate all you would like about this. I believe that this has a lot to do with the gas, that particular gas that's released out of this particular mountain, and it causes sores upon people. At least that's my theory on that. Second bowl, the sea turns blood. Like I said, the oxygen comes out. The ocean's heating up. The ocean will turn blood red. And every living thing in the ocean or the sea dies. And I think that has a lot to do with red tide. But it also can be oxidation. The third bowl, the waters turn to blood. So this is also like rivers and lakes and stuff like that. They all start turning to blood streams. Or they start turning red, okay? Men are scorched. The fourth bowl. Fourth bowl pulled out his bowl on the sun, and power was given to the sun to scorch men with fire. And men were scorched with great heat, and they complained against God, and they still didn't repent. So the sun, it literally says it right here, the sun is going to burn the earth and human beings. The fifth bowl, darkness and pain. So the fifth bowl is poured out, and the kingdom becomes full of darkness, no lights. So people, they also experience pain in the darkness. I think that has a lot to do with the gases. They have the sores and everything too at this point. The Euphrates dries up. That's this river right here. Will dry up. So the great river Euphrates dries up to make way for the kings from the east. The kings from the east are otherworldly fractalverse travelers that will come down after the depressurization is done. Nobody can come in when our atmosphere is depressurizing. So they'll come down on their spaceships or whatever. They'll land in the middle in the Garden of Eden, Mount Meru, and they'll be able to go in and out from this point. And the east is up, remember, okay? I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs coming out of the mouth of the dragon. Boom, we talked about that. What else? Earth is utterly shaken, so the whole earth is going to shake. There were noises, thunderings, lightnings, and a great earthquake, a mighty earthquake. This is bigger than all the other earthquakes that it just listed. A great city was divided in 3 parts. Now the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell in great Babylon. So this is interesting. Remember I said in Islam, they have this prophecy that there will be these 3 great openings in the earth? That's interesting. This kind of is similar. Every island fled away. The mountains were not found. There will be no mountains after the next apocalyptic cycle. You'll still have hills and some higher areas of elevation, but nothing like the mountains that we have today. Great hail came from heaven above, each hailstone the weight of a talent. Okay, this is, I don't know. Like it could be pieces of the dome breaking off and falling down. It could just be giant hail, like all this condensation of stuff being sucked up so high that it freezes into just giant pieces. And then once it reaches equilibrium, it just comes crashing back down. Both are possible. 17, Scarlet Woman, Scarlet Beast. Okay, so around this island at the North Pole, there will arise plasmas, because each of these elders and the 4 living creatures and all these plasma volcanoes are, in essence, all negative around a positive anode. They will emit their beams of light, and the plasma will curve down and inward into this mountain, which helps to actually create the blue beam that comes up out of it. In part. Anyways, this will be red in color because it's low pressure. All right. So all of these gases will be red in color. It will be circling around, and this will be like a big bubble of energy over and around the Garden of Eden. So it will be scarlet in color. That's why I'm pointing that out. Some people see it as a beast. Some people see it as a serpent or whatever. What else? Marvel. That's an interesting word. Literally means like God of Meru. What else? Oh, here's wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. The woman is not an actual woman, okay? And it's not like the woman is the Vatican or whatever. I hear a lot of that kind of stuff too. The woman is an entity. It is an energetic phenomenon that it seems to be sitting upon this serpent that protects this island. Okay. What else? All right. So it talks about the 10 kings, the 7 mountains, etc. The fall of Babylon the Great. Now this place is also Babylon. Okay. And Egypt. It's Babylon, it's Egypt, it's Israel, because it contains those literal places in antiquity. So it's seen as both evil during a particular time and good. It's seen as an evil place sometimes and a good place sometimes. It depends on which cycle we're in. Let's see. So Babylon falls, and it compares this place. It compares Israel to Babylon and to Egypt, etc. The world will mourn for Babylon's fall. So people see this place be destroyed by the fires from above. What else? Nobody can find any evidence of Atlantis, Babylon, ancient Egypt, etc. It's all the same place. All right, what else? I'm super tired. I'm so sorry. I got to skip through heaven exalts over Babylon. What else? Oh, then the white horse. Okay. So this beam of light that shoots up out of Mount Meru, also people have described it as being very white and shining and stuff too. Those legs that come out, right? Some people will see just 2 or whatever. Remember how I said like there's that dome of energy that goes around that island? So some people will only see 2 energetic legs of the squatter man. If you turn your position, some people will see 4. So it'll look like a centaur or a person riding a horse or something. Anyways, that's how Jesus comes back riding on this horse. The beast will be defeated. What else? 19, 20. We're on 20. Satan will be bound for 1,000 years. Okay, so this has happened before, okay? Satan will be released for 1,000 years. This is Satan's little season or Satan's short season, some people call it. When this happens, the energy dissipates in the world. Evil becomes rampant again. The whole world becomes corrupt again, and it leads us to the next apocalyptic cycle, where the saints will reign with Christ for 1,000 years. This will be the millennium or the millennial rule. And there's that 1,000 years again. People will be marked on, the marking is usually like on the forehead or on the hand. The reason for this is because you're marked by your thoughts. You're marked by the things that you believe, which manifest in the things that you do, which is your hand or the works of your hands. Hey, Chris, thank you so much in the chat. All right. But then all of that rebellion, which now exists, will be crushed. The 1,000 years will expire for us right around the corner. Satan will be released from his prison, will go out to deceive the nations, which are in the four corners of the earth. 1, 2, 3, 4, right there. Gog and Magog, literally calls these four corners Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, whose numbers is as the sand of the sea, because these people are coming up from inside the hollow earth. This leads us to Armageddon. Okay. They went up from the breadth of the earth, surrounded the camp of the saints, the beloved city. Fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. The devil was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone. So how can you have a lake of fire and brimstone? Well, it's brimstone. It smells like brimstone, like rotten eggs, because the gases are coming up from inside of the earth. Those gases are flammable. So they come up and bubble up from this lake. All you need is an electric spark to set the lake on fire. So you have a lake of fire. It's literally fire and water coexisting. What else? Great White Throne. This mountain right here will no longer be called Rupus Nigra. It will be called, I don't know, Rupus Albus or something. It'll be called the White Mountain instead of the Black Mountain, because it'll be shining and reflective that blue light, that whitish blue light. And all that rust that's on it that makes it black will be, through electrolysis, removed. And it'll be shining and silvery looking, you know. What else? Great White Throne Judgment. All the dead will rise. This is also the place of the necropolis. So all of the dead souls, they meet in the heart of the earth and they rise here or whatever. Those souls, that energy will be released back into the world. And some people think this is, you know, a form of reincarnation or whatever. That's how I see it. You don't have to see it that way if you don't want to. What else? The dead were judged according to their works, which is how people should be judged. Not according to their prayers, not according to, you know, their prayer of salvation or whatever, but they were judged according to their works and the things which were written down in the books. The sea gave up the dead. There will be no sea. So you see everything that's on the bottom of the ocean. Death and Hades delivered up the dead who are in them. Let's see. Death and Hades were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. So Death and Hades is right here. Boom. Lake of fire. What else? Anyone not found rotten was cast into the lake of fire. All right, good. Yeah, there's lots of stories, ancient stories about people who went and visited this particular lake and found that there was like dragons that lived at the bottom of it or whatever. And that's just the fire. That's just the plasmas and stuff. All right, last one. Is this the last one? There's two more. All right. No worries, no worries. All things are made new. That means renewed. There won't be a brand new earth. We're not going to shift into another dimension or anything like that. Okay, the earth will physically just be renewed. It'll become different looking altogether. And it'll literally have brand new elements to it that will be created. The first earth and the first heaven had passed away. Also, there was no more sea. Those waters get sucked up. And then he sees the new Jerusalem coming down out of heaven from God. So that apex dome, right? I think that's New Jerusalem, right? There's other things that will fall from the sky. I think the apex dome will break off and every other, and during sorry, I'm trying to like keep my thoughts together. After the apocalypse by fire, the apex dome breaks off. It floats downward, but it is suspended in the air above this island right here. Okay, and people live on the apex dome. Okay, right now they live up there, but they will live in that city that will be floating right above the physical paradise on earth. And I believe that it stays suspended in the air in a similar way as you see people put dry ice on top of like a superconductor or whatever, and it's just quantum locked in place, floating in the air or whatever. It's the same principle. Similar principle, I should say. But after the cycle of water or whatever, that doesn't happen. That comes crashing down. That's my theory on that, at least for right now. All right, what else? Sorry, I'm getting so tired. The tabernacle of God is with men. He will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. This is the tabernacle. And it will be available. God himself will be with them. He will be their God. God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. So sadness, you guys are going to be way happy. You're not going to get tired like I'm getting tired right now. You're going to just be full of energy all the time. There will be no more death. Boom. At the very least, here. Okay. You live here, you won't die. All right. That's how much energy is in this place. There will be no more death, nor sorrow, no crying. You guys are going to be on cloud 9 if you make it to Hyperborea. There shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed away. So your body only triggers pain as a response because of the conditions that we live in and the degradation of the flesh. When your flesh doesn't have degradation and you just have cellular regeneration and you cut yourself and it just heals super quick, there's less of a need for pain to alert you. Oh my God, fix that now before you die, because your body will just naturally fix it really quick. He who sat on the throne said, behold, I make all things new. Let's see what else. Oh, this is of note. The cowardly, the unbelieving, abominable people, murderers, sexually immoral people, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. That's not what I wanted to point out. Hold on. That's notable too, but what is it? Oh, there's these different gates. There's 3 gates on one side, 3 gates on the other side. That's just this right here. Okay, there's 3 gates, 3 gates, 3 gates. What else? Oh, the wall of the city had 12 foundations. That's this wall right here. You could see it. That's the wall. Those mountains all the way around. That's the wall. What else? What else? What else? What else? Ah, where is it? Nothing can come into the Garden of Eden, this place right here. Nothing may enter into it that defiles or causes an abomination or a lie. Only those who are written in the Lamb's Book of Life. So there's an energetic barrier that you need to match the frequency of the barrier that's here in order to even pass through. All right. So if your energy is off, it will be repelled by this energetic barrier that goes around Eden. But you can pass through. It says the gates shall not be shut at all. So, I mean, if you're the type that can pass through, you shall, if you will. The nations walk in its light. Oh, the Lamb is the light. That's also notable too. So the lamp at the middle of the world, Aladdin's lamp, etc., will provide its own light. There will be no need for a focal point, a sunlight, a moonlight, none of that stuff in the Garden of Eden. There will be a little star at the base of the blue beam that will rise up from this mountain and go back down into this mountain. And that will be their day and nighttime. Okay. In Eden. All right. What else? Last one. The river of life. So there's a river of life, which I believe is the blue beam itself that shoots up out of here. There's also these 4 rivers of pure water that you could drink out of. So have plenty of water. Let's see. In the midst of the street, on either side was the river, the tree of life, which bore 12 fruits. So yes, that is the tree of life, the Axis Mundi. What else? His name shall be on their foreheads, in their minds, right? There shall be no light there. They don't need lamps or the sun or anything, for the Lord God gives them light, because he is light. What else? These things will shortly take place. The same that was true then is true today. Behold, I'm coming quickly. What else? What else? What else? I have one more thing I wanted to point out here. Blessed are those who do his commandments, not believe in his commandments, but actually do them, that they may have the right to the tree of life. That's what I'm trying to do. May enter through the gates into the city. This is not a heart condition and like heaven is just in you. That's true. Okay, that is true. You carry heaven around, a little piece of it with you, but we're talking about a physical place on earth that has physical, actual gates that you can go through. Outside of this place are dogs, dog people, people that have the heads of dogs and look like dogs. The cynocephali, mutants on the outside of this place. And in our prior presentation, I explained how mutations occur outside of the Garden of Eden. I also explained that in my second book, Return to Hyperborea. Sorcerers, sexually immoral, murderers, idolaters, those people that live around the outside of Eden. Is that everybody? No, it's not. I would expect everyone in the Garden of Eden to be as pure as possible. And then the further away you get from the Garden of Eden, the worse the conditions are. What else? Do not change any of the words of this book. I'm coming quickly. Amen. Boom. All right. I gotta go, guys. I'm so tired. I was walking around a bunch today at Comic-Con. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Let me take this down. I don't know what I'm clicking on here. Bam, there it is. All right, cool. See that? Isn't that beautiful? All right, sweet. If you enjoyed this presentation and you haven't seen the other ones, go check out the other part 1 through 3. I don't get as tired at the end of those ones. Thank you guys for supporting me so I can get cool stuff and live my life. I really do appreciate that, and I'm honored. And I hope that you guys have a great weekend. And let's see which movie won. It's going to be Armageddon to 26%, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 22%, Ghostbusters Part 2 20%, and The Shawshank Redemption 32%. So I'll be decoding The Shawshank Redemption for you guys tomorrow night. All right, I'm going to end that poll. Thanks for participating. Thanks for all your support, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Until next time, I'm JayDreamerZ saying good vibes and goodbye.
I try so hard to fade away, but something's forcing me to stay. It'd be easier for me if I I feel the magic in the chat tonight.